People are entering the waiting room. We ready to go?
Go.
Nicole, is everybody in?
People are
Fantastic.
people are coming in right now.
Let's give them 15 seconds. I have my special Ukrainian sweater on today.
And you have all the international posters behind you. It looks awesome.
Yeah. Nicole, anybody still in the waiting room?
Nope, everyone's on. You're on, Peter.
Thank
Sharpen
you.
the
Good.
Saw can officially start right now.
Ding. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 18th annual Sharpen the Saw Day. I'm coming from RIT's EMBA room live today. My name is Peter Parts. I'm a class 4 graduate and survivor, and I'm one of the volunteers who helps with this cool event we call Sharpen the Saw. So I congratulate you for being one of the lucky ones to get a golden ticket to join us this week. You win. The speakers we have this week are truly amazing, and I hope that every day this week brings you great ideas to share at home or to practice where you're working, which is probably for a lot of you at home too. So with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. Now, we've changed the agenda last minute because of the war in Ukraine. Jeff Davis, Krista, everyone is asking, how can we help? And our first brief speaker is Nicole Jones, who is the director of Interval. Interval is a charity that began in the 90s. It is the major Western New York collection site for items for Ukraine. Nicole, thanks for being here today. I know you're busier than heck, but could you take a little bit of time, tell us about Interval, tell us about the current effort, and tell us what we can do to help. Nicole, the floor is yours.
Hi, Peter. Thank you very much for the introduction. Interval is, it was founded in 1989 by Drs. Panino and O'Connor. And for many of you in Sharpen the Saw, you might have heard about Interval. We do some amazing things, and I'm happy to be here and be a part of this, and certainly be a part of this effort in providing humanitarian aid to those in Ukraine, to the refugees and to those that are wounded. I think that some of the great things that Interval does is not only provide humanitarian aid, but provide medical supplies as well. Regional Health.
This meeting is being recorded.
Rochester General Hospital. And so we collect the supplies, we send them out to those who need them. We send them to 63 different nonprofits here in Rochester, and we've shipped supplies to 84 countries around the world. So when the Ukrainian event began, I immediately went into, disaster mode, so to speak. And I thought, okay, how are we going to be responding to this? First, we need to determine what the needs are of those affected, and then how can we provide the supplies, and how are we going to get them there? So that is one of the things that Interval does best, and that is connecting people, because the people that we normally send supplies to in Ukraine, they're not able to receive the supplies. So how do we go about getting the supplies to them? How do we get the workaround to get the supplies to Poland, and then to get them through the green zones? So those were all things that went into action immediately, and like many things, the stars always align, and we were able to make it happen. So our relief drive then kicked off, and we started the drive that went out all across Western New York, asking people for supplies and how, getting them here, and the logistics, and obviously from that end, it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we have sites all over Rochester. We have people out there collecting. I would say on a daily basis, we have over 100 volunteers here sorting the supplies, getting the supplies ready for shipment. If any of you have ever been to the Reedman campus here across from Bishop Kearney, I think we've effectively taken over the entire first floor. So for Chip's first day is our new leader. If he were to walk to this side of the building, he would have quite the sight.
And what kind of things are you looking for?
So Peter, we're collecting new sleeping bags, we're collecting underwear, we're collecting socks, we're collecting adult diapers, baby diapers and wipes, we're collecting gloves. All these items can be seen on our website, interval.org. The list is very specific in the fact that people are looking, how can I donate? Can I donate clothing? Can I, or blankets and pillowcases? And the list that we have was sent to us from Ukraine. And these are the items that they're specifically looking for. So as the refugees may come across into Poland, as there are people that are being displaced out of their homes, and these are the items that they've determined they're looking for. So as much as people may want to donate other supplies, Interval is looking for just these, as well as financial contributions to get the supplies where they need to go. I think one of the biggest things that I haven't spoken about yet is the medical grade clotting gauze that Interval is purchasing to include in the first aid kits. So it's expensive, but doctors Panino and O'Connor believe that it's something that is very useful. They've spoken with many doctors over in Ukraine, and they've been really asking, can you get us some? Can you find any in the United States? And can you bring it, get it to us? So we just put in a big purchase of that, and that we're going to be including that with a very special shipment that's going over, and we're going to be handing it over to someone physically so that it gets distributed.
Anything else that we can do to help you?
Just make more great leaders, right?
You're right. Nicole,
So
you're doing amazing stuff with the volunteers that you've got. You have been doing it for years. You've been a great director for them for so long. Thanks for being there. And I hope everybody that's with us today gets this message. It's Interval, interval.com or .org, interval.org. And any help you can give is important. And the smallest amount to the largest amount is very important. Nicole, I know you're busy. You got 100 people working there. Thank you for taking time to join us today. And thank
Peter,
you for what you're doing to make the
Yeah.
world a better place.
Yeah, Peter, thank you for having me. Thank you all for having me as your guest. I know you guys are busy. This is a big day for you, but it means a lot to me to speak to you. I know that all the things that you do as leaders is important. Again, I appreciate any of your generosity in getting the word out. And that's it. So thank you again.
Interval.org. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. It's an amazing charity. There are an awful lot of charities and a lot of great places that do a lot of good things. Right now, it's an amazing charity that's doing so much to help in Ukraine, and we know they need it. I am delighted to welcome our next speaker. Let me tell you a little bit about him. And Mark, you can tell me if these are true or false. Okay, you live with us?
I am.
Okay. Facts about our first speaker, true or false, Mark? Favorite food is pasta, and a close second is peanut butter?
Well, I don't know who told you that, but maybe I did. But I actually, as I've gotten older, I love all food. So I'm really not that picky. But yes,
pasta. Being into music is a big thing for you. One of your all-time favorites is Stevie Wonder?
Yeah. Grew up listening to him, then got to meet him about 16 years ago, hung out with him for an afternoon during a music festival in another part of the world.
And your favorite travel spot is anywhere your wife will go?
Yes.
And your favorite restaurant is at home with your wife's cooking?
My wife is an unbelievable cook, and I am not just saying that. I think people hang out with me only to come over to the house to eat dinner at our house because of the cooking. It's really not me, it's my wife.
So like the country song says, you're one of the good ones, Mark. Favorite place in the world you've traveled to is Jerusalem?
Yeah, it's right up there with Italy. Our family's from the province of Italy, which is Sicily. And but until I went to Israel a few years back, it's right there hand in hand together.
High school,
Oh,
go ahead.
nope.
High school, Pittsford Sutherland.
Yes.
Role models, your mom and dad.
Yeah. Yep. I was fortunate enough to not have to have a stressful young life the way they had. And my father was actually homeless. He was a homeless young man in Buffalo. His father passed away when he was 9 years old, and he had two other brothers. They all three went to the war, World War II, but they lived through the Depression before that. And interesting enough, his partner and himself, which we'll talk a little bit about today, Simcona, one was a concentration camp survivor, and the other one was homeless. And the two of them got together and started a business together. So Simon Brightman and Lou Iacona. So those were two significant role models for me growing up, along with my mom. And I've had many others along the way, but those are the foundation of the role model experience.
Hobbies. I know this for a fact. You play a mean trumpet.
I hang with some people that are very, very articulate, and it's worn off on me a little bit, but I'm just fortunate to be able to hold my own a little bit with professional musicians. I am the furthest thing from a professional, but that influence has helped me out a lot.
And I've never seen this, but I hear you like to dance.
I'm not sure who you're talking to, but yes, as long as my feet work and my knees work, yeah, absolutely. Yes, I do. I don't get to lead a lot, though, I'll tell you that much.
And college, RIT?
Yeah.
Yeah. Marc has done some amazing things. He's built Simcona Electronics from a small wire and cable company into a world-class electronics company. He's one of the two founding partners for the CGI Rochester International Jazz Festival. Let me introduce to you my friend, Marc Iacona. Marc, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for that unique introduction. I appreciate it. And I have to say, Peter, you've been also a mentor to me along the way. We've shared mutual businesses in a way in the same vertical markets in the industry. And I learned a lot from you with the way you ran your business and the way you're authentic. So things go full circle, being in the same industry and then having you be part of the festival as a photographer and taking some unbelievable shots that have been published. It's a joy to work with you and have you call you friend as well. So, and I thank everybody for giving me the time today, or I feel honored to be able to speak because I feel like I'm just one of millions of successful people that probably deserve more than I do the time to be talking to everybody right now. I've just been placed at the right place at the right time and had the opportunity to do something with it. So I'm gonna move fast. I'm gonna see if I do this right. Share a screen with you, move really fast, and then talk about both my lives. I tell everybody I have two lives, not two wives. That's why I'm probably still very healthy. And the two lives are, one is the business that was a second generation business, and the other one is, as Peter mentioned, with my esteemed partner John Nugent, who brought the concept to Rochester, producing and owning the Jazz Festival here. So if I do this the right way, can everybody see that?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So obviously you can interrupt. I don't know what time frame I have here. Do I have 12 minutes, 8 minutes, 4 minutes?
You got a good 25, 30 minutes.
Great. So just like I did, I actually just left the building at Simcona because we brought a customer in from Ireland. She was taking over all global sourcing. So I had to do my 15-minute speed presentation, and then have her go over to our new facility that we just opened up. So I'm used to doing things fast when it comes to presenting. Anyone can interrupt at any point in time. So I'll get on a roll. So just make sure you stop me and I hear you. So I'll talk a little bit about Simcona. Simcona traditionally started as a straight ahead electronics distributor, components, wire and cable. Simon Brightman, Lou Iacona started the business the year I was conceived in '62. And they made a decision as the business started to grow. They made a conscious decision to say, we're going to stay in electromechanical, the more non-sexy products, meaning not semiconductors, systems, and things like that. And during the 60s and early 70s, Many of the businesses that were the same size as Simcona in the beginning went to another level and actually are no longer around. They were bought out by major companies called Arrow, Avnet, some of those large companies. Simcona just moved along gradually and grew successfully and profitably. And I'm proud to be able to say that we're blessed to have been profitable every single year in existence for the last, this is our 60th year in business right now. So a little bit of the background there is that Simcona started in Rochester. It stayed in Rochester. We ship all over the world. We follow our customers instead of trying to go outside the United States and grow the business through new business that way. We follow our customers if they leave the country. However, we've been growing our business here domestically because I feel that we have nowhere near saturated our business opportunities. And the company has evolved from being a distributor now to being a distributor of manufacturing services. And I'll get into that a little bit and share with you guys. Now, I hope I'm able to, okay. So the reason why I want to show this screen is really to look at, show you the vertical markets that we're in terms of the different markets of industry and then the services. So not just sourcing and procurement, we actually major contracts that we manage, and well as engineering services that we have and manufacturing services that we've evolved into. These are just some values that I wanted to show. It's not necessarily for me to get into, but we take this serious. We actually hire to these values. So when somebody sends us a resume, we actually don't really determine or judge or audit if they know how to do the job they're applying for. We actually look is, do they match our core values, whether it's leadership or coming in through entry-level positions. This is our mission. Drive customer success through empowered employees, living out our core values. Every year we have a strategic plan that we review. If it's our 3-year plan, we review it. One of the key performance indicators that I've taken responsibility for is training and driving employee empowerment. Very, very important to me as an entrepreneur that if a company is going to grow, it can't be a person on an island. We value the input and empowering people to make decisions through educated discussion and dialogue. So that's something that is very, very near and dear to my heart, because I firmly believe that your business will not grow and evolve to its potential if you don't allow people to be empowered and make decisions. The other thing that I do that I started about 4 years ago is anybody new that joins our team, I ask them, and the onboarding experience through HR is to provide their own personal mission statement. So, and then we frame it and put it on their desk wherever they want it. But it's something I want people to know that I'd love to know their personal mission statement and what it is in life that what is their why. These are the vertical markets that we're in. So we service across the board. These are our locations. And if you look up top here, this is an industrial park that I chose to purchase that the former owners owned. And then what I did over the last 12 years is implemented a supplier village. So these are our main offices. Can you guys see me moving the cursor? These are our main buildings here for offices and training. This building here is our wire and cable manufacturing plant. Way in the back here is our some manufacturing, as well as our almost 50,000 square foot warehouse. Over here is for new manufacturing and spikes in production. And I'll get into a little bit of our new facilities. These are core competencies. We don't take them lightly. This is what's helped us evolve through some of the tough times. If I'm going too fast, I just know I have time here limitation.
You have plenty of time. You're doing fine.
A little bit of our warehousing. This is our cable and manufacturing that I decided to take to another level. It was more of a side business, more of an ace in a hole. I made a decision to invest in the infrastructure here, close to $1 million, so that we have state-of-the-art equipment being brought in, so that we now can go after business and offer solutions to our customers that are not getting what they need domestically right now, just because of all the stress that's been put on supply stream. So we here in this plant here, right in that industrial park, we supply multi-conductor design and supply multi-conductor cable, bulk cable, not cable assemblies. So we've gotten into a little bit of manufacturing. The little bit has turned into the vision I had is to become a multi-million-dollar part of our business, and it is now. These are some just examples. This is our humble beginnings, and these are some of the solutions that we have, all the way from the power companies to conveyor system to robotics, as well as lift products that we're providing solutions for, all control systems that we're building and providing. This is a brand new 30,000 square foot facility that's 7 minutes away from Simcona out on Elm Grove, that is now housing all our manufacturing and our manufacturing growth. If we need to grow, we're able to go into the lot right next door. Here are some shots that we've done that I have of live. These are static live shots that I just took in terms of this past year. And now that facility is almost full, and we still can grow by utilizing. We're now starting to go paperless, and it's pretty cool to watch the collaboration of a team that is empowered to take us to the next level. So all in all, I just showed you a lot in a little bit. Simcona has come a long way from being a sourcing expert to now not only sourcing for multi-year contracts, but now going to the next level of operation for customers and manufacturing solutions for them, so that now when we ship the product back to them, they actually are putting that into their final assembly. So that was pretty fast. I usually take longer to do that. I'm going to go to my other life, and then once I finish that, talk a little bit about each organization and how it's affected me, and some things that I've had to do along the way and what it's exposed me to in a positive way. So this is the other life. This is the Jazz Festival. This is something that has been so cool to watch this grow and become a living, breathing organism. The joy behind it, what it brings to the community, the different things that I'll show you in some of these slides, gives me the edification to know that I got involved in something that is making a difference in our community and around the country, because we're touching other artists and we're having other people from around the world come to see our festival. So I've always been around music. One of the things that my parents instilled in me is never forget where you've come from and always give back where you can, whether it's financially, whether it's with your time, or whether it's with your skill sets. So I had always been around. My wife and I had some scholarships that we did for local students in music and education. And this was just something that along the way, as those building blocks were happening, when my partner came into town and brought the concept, I said, that's not going to leave Rochester. And I knew he probably wouldn't get the reception that he would need, because every town is protective in certain ways. People with core competencies may or may not want you to, that do the same thing, may or may not want you to be there. What helped was I was from this town, and I also invested in it before it had any value at all, not only as a sponsor, but as a partner. And really quick to tell you the story on how that happened was I actually invited him over for a bowl of pasta and a bottle of wine. And I thought my wife was going to shoot something at me, throw something at me, because usually I give her 48 hours heads up. This time I gave her 48 minutes, I think, heads up. But she's awesome. And she's one of the main reasons this thing was successful, because always the support from home and giving me the space and time to be involved in this. So I was working 2 jobs at one time. But John and I, we are kindred spirits. The work ethic that I saw, based on that 3.5, 4 hours of spending time having pasta at the house, revealed to me that I might want to peel the onion back and get to know this person more. So before that first note was played, we got to know each other, and I said, look, at the end of this festival, let's get together. I want to own 50% of this festival. I don't want it leaving Rochester. And what does that mean, and what do we need to do? So that's kind of like a brief history. There's a lot more behind that, but I wanted to give you that information before we started. So if you look at this, you know, we've reached the point where we know that now that the revisits and within the volume of capacities that we have in the indoor as well as the outdoor venues that we use are a little over 200,000 people in attendance each year. We take pride that we have people that want to invest in the club pass before before a program is even announced, which, by the way, next a week from tomorrow, we'll be announcing our new lineup that everybody hopefully will be excited about, because there are going to be some new twists in terms of quality of what we're bringing and how we're bringing it, and how you'll be able to see those shows. But the other thing is we have a waiting list on volunteers. We have the same teams that want to come back year after year. So that's a testament to what's going on here, because it truly is inclusive, all the way from people that attend it, but also the people that are working the festival. Again, nothing's changed in the dynamic of it. There's a shot of parcel 5. There'll be more enhancements there, but the 9 days is consistent. We try to be consistent with a theme to all our club pass venues and the shows that we do. And then the free element will be different genres of music that we get to bring people down that hopefully get exposed to the club pass series, even if they don't have a pass, to be able to go in and listen to an artist when they thought, maybe I don't like jazz, but there's different genres of jazz within the jazz genre. So it's been working. And again, we try to be very consistent based on what people come to expect. Again, some of the recognition that we're getting internationally, and some highlights that we get and recognize. I believe that we are one of the premier. I'm not just saying it as a producer. It is the feedback that we receive also from the artists, that we're one of the premier jazz festivals, not only from a programming standpoint, but how we treat the individuals that come and play for us. So we have a fantastic team: transportation, hospitality, PR. We do what we say we're going to do. We're not perfect. When the ball is picked up, when the ball is dropped, we pick it up. Meaning, other festivals that we try to be different by doing what we say. So when an artist comes into town, we're there to pick them up. We take them to the hotel. We pick them up from the hotel to take them to the sound check. We take them to dinner. We make sure the dinners are there. We never really want to make a consistent habit of, oh, we couldn't get there on time, we couldn't get you, so go ahead, take the Uber, we'll pay you back for that. That's not our style. Our style is to be able to have something resonate with that artist when they leave town, to say, I'd love to come back and play that festival. Here's some other, local recognition that we've been receiving from the different publications. Really important to John and myself. When I sat with him over that pasta dinner, I said, look, I already have a couple scholarships with my wife in terms of the arts. What are we going to do with this? And he said, absolutely, I'm all over it. I support it. So over the last 18 years, we're proud to say that we started a jazz scholarship studies program at the Eastman. And we basically have given almost over $500,000. We have an endowment now that we've started, the scholarship and the endowment. So that's a commitment. That's a line item budget, part of our budget that we provide each year for the Eastman School Jazz Studies. The Nurturing the Next Generation is we have jam sessions that the professional musicians that are there for the week will sit in. That is sponsored by Wegmans, and it's really cool because you can be a student of any age. So now families are coming, grandparents, uncles, aunts, moms, dads that are musicians, along with their grandkids or children, are now attending this. So it's really well received. I talked about the scholarship that we're very proud of. The nice thing about the scholarship is now we have scholarship recipients that are working with us in the festival and or performing all over the world now, to the point one was part of the Eagles horn section, toured with them for several years, as well as many of them are now established in the industry. So that's a really good feeling. Economic impact, really quick, is done through Rochester Research Corp. So it's third party. It's not our opinion. We do surveys, and based on those surveys, we get a very in-depth report, multi-page PowerPoint that we present to the county and the city and to the state, as well as our existing sponsors that have invested in being a sponsor for the festival. So that's something that's really cool to be able to say, because not only culturally and individually with it, people, how the festival affects them, from an artistic standpoint, but also economically, all the way from the hotels, the restaurants, and different businesses that are benefiting from this. experience of the 9 days, the build up during it, and then the residual afterwards. Some of the artists are coming back and playing in different clubs. So, and jazz series have started up. So it's nice knowing that it's a tangible data that is out there. And again, this is, social media, different things, what we're using. We have an app as well that will be going live after the press conference. Media coverage, we're fortunate to be covered by the media, all the different forms of media that we have. We've had national conventions in music that have toured Rochester from time to time during our festivals, different years. So we are an international national stop on the Jazz Festival circuit in terms of visibility. Free performance, all I can say is stay tuned. It's only going to get better. The accessibility to free. We're doing something different this year. I had a conversation with my partner and I said, John, we've been fortunate enough to have received a grant. We could put some of it into infrastructure, meaning start to look at buying some of our own structures and or screens. It's an opportunity to do that. We said we're going to put it into the programming. So this year, with praying for 80 degrees and sunny and just dry at night, there's going to be some spectacular things going on that I believe the community will very, very much appreciate. And so stay tuned on that. It will just be in 2023. Will I be able to receive the same amount of support for the budget based on what we're doing with the grant money, because the grant money won't be back. So I made a conscious decision along with my partner to give even more back. Like my parents said, never forget where you come from. Again, there's Jazz Street, again, which is Gibbs Street. So there's just free entertainment that is going to be consistent, but then some additional. These are some of the venues that are sponsored by companies. Again, artistically, there's some of the local artists. That's Sean Dunwoody there. I believe that created that keyboard one of the years. It was really cool. It got press coverage. It was nice to have other organizations be recognized. And again, this is parcel 5, and we hope to see that just as crowded this year in terms of people coming out and enjoying themselves. And those are the dates. So real quick, before we open it up, I kind of wanted to just share how these two, and hopefully I'm not boring you. Hopefully nobody's fallen asleep, but I really always try to downplay how excited I am about being involved in both organizations, because Simcona, I'm blessed enough to be able to be involved in a second generation business. I did not create it, but I've been given the opportunity to take it to higher levels. I now own the company by myself. The first time, worked there for several years after going and working at Xerox. Went and worked there and came back, and then worked for Simon and Lou. And then 3 of us, my brother-in-law who had worked at the organization and his daughter Blanche, the 3 of us bought them out in August of '99. We ran it for a little over 10 years together. And then in 2011, I purchased their stock and solely own the business now, and decided to do some different things with it that I may have not been able to do without a lot of prodding and pushing, just because of I've never been afraid to take chances. I used to say all the time that my brother-in-law, who's the CFO, I used to say it's my business to grow the business. It's his business to make sure I don't put us out of business. So I do value the being prudent on finances in running a business. The bottom line is what gives you the affordability to go and try things. But if you don't take risks, there's a slang saying, I believe, is scared money doesn't make money. I believe in being, you're talking about sharpening things here, measure twice, cut once. And that's what I try to do by surrounding myself with much more intelligent people than me. And today we, as I can say, we had our best year ever in the history of Simcona, because I've been fortunate enough to surround myself with some people that knew where I wanted to fly the jet, but knew I couldn't fly that jet. I needed them to fly it, and for me to say, that's the destination I want to take us to. So you know, the second gen business was a dichotomy in itself. How you interact with you know, relationships that are in-laws and or the same people in the family. That was very, very challenging, humbling. At the same time, if you really want something to work, I always remembered that a team is a team, and even if you're not being heard or you're not being respected, but the common goal was to grow the business, as long as egos could be set to the side, good things will happen, even when there's challenging times. So that was a big challenge for me, because I was like a horse in a stable that you know, I wanted to just get out and do things, but I knew that I had to be patient. I knew that I had to prove myself to my partners to gain their confidence. So you know, along those 10 years, that was tough. The interesting part about partners versus no partners, I think that's an individual preference. You know, if you're going to be in a business with someone, you're going to have to be able to know when to stand down on certain things, know when to give credit to the person, even though it wasn't them. That's what really is about being humble, and also being patient, and also understanding delivery is everything. So sometimes when you're showing the passion of where you think and where you can take the company, you may be saying blue, they may be translating red. So, you know, that's something that if you're a person that wants to have no partners, there's a lot that goes along with that. Even though you had advisors, at the end of the night, when you drive home or wherever you're driving, the buck stops with you, basically. So there's a nice balance there, but I think it's the individual that has to make a decision on really what works for them, having partners or not having a partner. So the things that I've been able to do now, being a sole owner, is to bring in some people and invest in some people that are experienced, and put my ego to the side to know that they can do that. And that comes with an investment monetarily. So those are things that I don't even think twice about if I know that the person has those capabilities and core competencies. So those are the kind of things that I've been able to do. And because of that, some really great things have happened where we actually almost doubled our business last year. So the Jazz Festival, the inception of it, that to me, I feel like I've been part of from the beginning. So it is like a child, knowing that you have something that you nurtured that didn't get a lot of attention, and then all of a sudden it's the most popular kid in school. It's a great feeling. We both, like I said, have entrepreneurial skill sets. John came from humble beginnings. He's from Newfoundland, Ontario, Newfoundland, Canada, and very talented individual, but came to the States and worked his way into the success that he had. And I learned a lot from him. I told him when we started this business, I said, look, I'm involved in another business right now. I'm going to have to work that. But this business here, I don't want to be a silent partner. I know a little bit about the business, but I want to learn a lot about it. And, you know, it just flourished from there, because that's what he was looking for as well. So the other thing is being able to make a difference in the community. Simcona's success afforded me the opportunity to financially take a risk on the festival, because before I went to any other sponsors or anyone, I wanted to be able to say that I have monetarily and financially invested in this company, not just with sweat equity, but with my own savings. And when you're able to do that and convey that, there's the authenticity that the people see. So once this really started to grow and get legs, we knew we had something. And the influence on the community, all the way from people telling you how it's touched their lives musically, personally, even though they're not musicians, the musicians that we've touched, the lives that have gotten to know each other because they're there at the festival where they never would have met those people. And then the other thing from an economic standpoint is that the business to business that's done. I do a lot of business to business. I practice what I preach when I say that we do that. Simcona does training during the month of June, brings in suppliers. We bring our customers in, we collaborate during the daytime, and then we bring them down to the festival. And then when they're coming in from out of town, that we bring, well over 100 people in from out of town. They stay at hotels, they go to restaurants. So to me, the real feel good for me and what happens during those 9 days is that there's a community that's coming together, and there's communities that are coming from outside our community, and lives are being touched. So that's that in a nutshell. I open up the floor. I hope it wasn't boring. I didn't give a lot of detail. If there's some questions that you have, and hopefully I can answer them, I'd be more than happy to do so.
Folks, anybody jump in if you have a question? Mark, I'll jump in and ask, what's the best advice you've ever received?
I think somebody, I will tell you that, but I think I'm not sure if somebody was muted. I think Krista was muted. I don't know if she
Go
was.
ahead, Krista.
I was just going to say, it might be good if anyone's got questions, type it right in the chat. We can be looking at them, and we'll get to as many as we can. But that's all I wanted to add, just for a little bit of housekeeping there. But take it away, Peter. Ask your question.
Best advice ever received.
Never put yourself above anybody. Never forget where you've come from, and never put yourself above anybody. Over the years, an analogy I came up with is, tomorrow I could be asking you guys for showing you my resume. A couple egotistical or dumb decisions could put my companies in harm's way, and I could be out there asking you for a resume and or one of those guys on the corner of the street. And it's something that's kept me in check, to always make sure that to never put myself above anybody. Try to give the time to somebody that's engaging with you, undivided attention as long as you can, authentically. And that's pretty hard to do sometimes when you're in the middle of 16 different things, and an employee walks up that doesn't report to you and says, "Can I have a few minutes?" And that's a that's putting yourself in a position sometimes, because that 5 minutes could turn technically into 50 minutes, and you have to learn how to do that, but never ever put yourself above anybody.
Question for you, Mark. You brought up something kind of interesting. Well, a lot of things interesting. First of all, thank you for keeping the Jazz Fest in Rochester. I mean, you took a gamble, and it's paid off for all of us. But you mentioned something interesting about the relationship between you and your brother-in-law, the CFO. And how does that, I mean, that can be a really difficult role, especially for family members. You're the one growing the business. He's the one that's got to keep you in business. So the dynamic there traditionally is always, it's a lot of tension. And I've always kind of described it as healthy tension. So can you talk a little bit about how you keep that healthy tension?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I don't think it's anything you can avoid. You have to expect that that's going to happen in any business. I don't want to say it didn't help. I'm almost 10 years younger, so I'm always going to be viewed as I was always viewed back in the beginning when we bought the business together, of the kid, right? And but you really have to step back and understand and respect the responsibility that he had and the finance department had, in order to make sure that things were just not done shooting from the hip, and we were on the same page there. It just got frustrating because sometimes that wasn't a mutual respect in terms of understanding why I wanted to go after something. With my CFO today, I take the same stance. The CFO I have today, I'm very fortunate. He's been with me now for a little over 4 years, because the CFO that was part of the transition that my brother-in-law hired, I kept him on. I kept him on for 10 plus years, almost 10 years. And I said to the new CFO, I want an entrepreneurial CFO. So I want someone that's going to keep things in check, but at the same time understand and be involved in the business. I want you to meet our top customers. I not only want you to meet their CFOs, I want you to meet their presidents. I want you to understand what we're trying and how we're trying to grow this business, so you're part of that DNA. So I've given him the same responsibility that it is okay for him to challenge and talk to me about certain things. I want him, I would think something is wrong if he was just saying, okay. Especially in today's day and age with supply stream and now employees, the challenge of hiring employees for the right positions, and then supply stream giving you different ultimatums on how they're supplying product to you now. Some of them want money up front. The terms are changing. Some of them are changing pricing on you that is significant in terms of tens of thousands of dollars on orders because they haven't done the right things to put themselves in place financially. So now they're hitting you with different charges in order to, as well as price increases 1, 2, or 3 times a quarter. And to have someone that is looking at those numbers on a regular daily basis is really important. So it's challenging, but it's needed. And that's where egos have to be, just laid down.
Thank you.
A couple of things in the chat, actually, Mark, if I can share them with you. One person, Diane Simpson, just mentions that she and her husband, Elliot, have been regular attenders to the Jazz Fest. It's an amazing event. Thank you for all you do. Another from Chantrell Miles. Thank you for sharing your story. I love the work on your company culture. You exemplify in the sharing of the company culture you exemplify in the sharing of personal visions. Then she asks, how do you continue to grow your culture when staff are working remotely?
So this is where I'm going to turn into old school because I am a 3-dimensional man. And I'm also new school because all the way from my daughter who works with me in the festival and at Simcona in marketing, the next generation and some of the new individuals we brought on board to give that flexibility of working remote. It's been a battle for me personally. I'm not battling with people because I like to see people. I like to interact. You can't compare what we're doing right now to being in person. But I do know that there are changes. I will tell you this. If I was just starting a business with all of you right now, and I had an idea, and I said, I'm financing the whole thing, but all of you have different core competencies, and each of you are in every single different state. You represent one of the states. I'm not going to put the money into bricks and mortar because I need to come out of the gates with engineering. I'm working on patents. I need your skill sets. So you know what? I don't have any bricks and mortar. It's relevant to me to be doing this remotely. I still believe I would have a culture challenge if I didn't get everyone together monthly or bi-weekly in person, or at least quarterly if you were in different states, to bring you in, because there's something that you just don't have. Even if we go to holograms, okay, even if we go to where we've got AI that's looks just like you and it's in the office, but you're in South Dakota and you're operating that individual looks like you, that's AI. I still believe that there's something to collaboration, the business that we're in. Okay. So when I renovated a little over 8 years ago at Simcona, we blew open the whole midsection area of the business, and we have an area for collaborating, all the offices around it, the cubicles. So I force people to get together. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to change that in me. However, I'm flexible, I'm bending, but it's a great question on the culture. The culture thing, to make someone feel that they're part of something. When I watched it go like a sine wave, everybody was psyched in the beginning because we actually practice it. I felt something was coming. We were about 3 weeks ahead of the shutdown. So we had practiced it. We knew that our purchasing department, our sales department, our engineering department, our direct labor couldn't. My warehouse had to be there, but the direct labor and manufacturing had to come to work. So we practice it. And it's interesting when it really happened, there was the highs and then there were the lows. And then there was the disengagement. We did multiple things during the pandemic to keep people together, all creative things, but it's just not like being in person. So to me, I'm going to be biased by saying I believe the culture is effective by not being in 3 dimensions, or it's more of a challenge. How's that? it's more of a challenge. I like people wanting them to believe that they're valued in the 3-dimensional. I like interacting. So sorry for that rant, but that was, it's so timely because I was just with my leadership team and it's tough. I'm a passionate person when it comes to interacting with people.
Nothing wrong with a rant ever.
No, if somebody's listening.
No, you got to thank you, a bunch of thank yous on the chat though. So that was good.
Yeah, and I want to mention I'm blessed. I have a great leadership team. I have a great company. The Jazz Festival, when everybody says keep doing what you do, there is just such a great team that's behind there. I mean, they've turned alternate into friends, and I've watched their families now grow. So some of them have children themselves that are now in high school. So we couldn't do it without them. They truly do help us shrink pack the whole event.
Cool. Do you get a lot of requests to either move the Jazz Fest or at least duplicate or replicate it in other cities?
Yes. And I will tell you this, I guess I can do this. I'm almost 60, so I can drop a filter, I guess, right? It's getting a little bit, I'm not tired of doing the festival, but I'm getting exhausted of continually having to convey that we should be supported. Costs are going up for a lot of services and different things. The support mentally and verbally is always there, but it seems as though I feel like I'm interviewing for the job every year. And my dad always said to me, he goes, look, if you're getting stuff done and you're going to the bank on Fridays, stop complaining, right? And I always try to do that. But as challenges, more and more challenges are happening, and then you get calls from other states and or other cities in this state saying, would you want to do something here? That's like me saying to, come live with our family and leave your family. I will never forget where I come from. This city helped my father start his business, meaning the city itself, meaning being Rochester, New York, on Joseph Avenue. And I remember as a little kid, being there, and I just, it'd be very hard for me, but it's getting harder and harder with that. There has been some new dialogue that's very encouraging. So, I'm always optimistic. I'm always optimistic. And I don't compare ourselves to any of the other events. I love the other events. They should be there. We shouldn't be the only event that is getting support. But we do create, I always try to take the mentality too, is pay on performance. We are creating the economic impact so that investment that is given to us by government, the ROI is there significantly. So yes, to answer you, yes, we do get calls, and it's getting tougher and tougher to say, I don't want to talk to you. So.
Not surprising.
But I'm looking forward to this year. Really looking forward to this year.
There's someone that put into the chat. It was Giulio. You put in something in Italian, and I don't speak Italian. I speak Spanish. I can take an attempt at actually saying this, but le persone insieme innovano.
People innovate together.
Yes, innovano. I got that.
People innovate together.
Very good. What, did you put that in the translator there, Jeff?
I have a little language aptitude.
And another great piece here, maybe the RIT alumni can gather together at the Jazz Festival this year.
So
I think that's a great idea.
I'm glad you said that, Peter, because not because of that, but you just triggered my memory. I actually was at RIT last week and spoke in front of the faculty for the performing arts and liberal arts. And we're going to be, the plan is to employing some interns to come in and work during the festival. So I'm going to try to do that with MCC and with RIT. So that'll be pretty cool.
Yep, the Year of the Tiger, someone else put in the chat. So it would make sense. It's the Year of the Tiger. We should do something to celebrate that, that's for sure.
Any final questions anyone has?
I have one more since I hate to keep asking, but there's
Go for it.
no more coming up through the chat.
Can I say something before I forget? Because this is from an entrepreneurial. I don't think there's any wrong or right time to start a business. And I don't think there's any wrong or right age to start a business. I really don't. The brain is a muscle. And if the faculties are there and you can influence somebody or help them in their business, that to me is what it's all about. However, I do believe whomever you're attached to at home is very significant in the success. I don't know if I would be where I am right now if I didn't have the support at home. And that's not only with my wife that was very significant, but for my children. They understood why I wasn't home. It hurt me one time when my son said as a little boy, does daddy have an apartment somewhere? Because I was doing both jobs and traveling a lot for Simcona. But when you embark on something as an entrepreneur to start a business, I think do not discount. And if you're giving advice to someone in your family that is going to be doing that, do not discount the magnitude of the power of support to tell you that they think you're going off a cliff, even though they're not in the business. Take that because they're saying that because they care, and that they want to support you, as well as the unspoken dialogue of support that is there. So I just wanted to mention that I would not be where I am right now in terms of that and my faith if I didn't have that support. So sorry about it. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Krista. It just popped in my mind. I knew that something.
No, that's okay. In fact, I don't know my question. I mean, that last message is probably, so valuable and so pure and authentic. I'm not sure I even want to ask my question now because it's such a great one to end on. But this is a bit of a segue, I guess, to the same kind of notion, and that is of empowerment. And then the idea of really empowering your team, your employees, every single one, and that idea that each of them have a statement. That's really powerful. But if you could just talk a little bit about if you've ever had any pushback internally from, say, HR or something like that, because I mean, in and of itself, it can be a little scary to think that you're empowering everybody to do things. And, do you lose control, or does a certain department lose control? So maybe you could comment a little bit about that.
So I'll start with myself. It's scary doing that as someone that's been so involved in the business. So to condition and train myself to say, through a lot of soul searching, how is this company going to perpetuate? Do I want it to be, like this? I'm not about bigger and better. I'm about being the best at what you do and being profitable at the same time. Because if you're profitable, you can reinvest in the infrastructure and hire more people. No one wants to attach themselves to a company that is reeling, right, and move from one job to another. So I started with me with that empowerment. And then I work on, because it does happen, as you see your senior managers are asked to empower their employees that could technically put their job on the line or that kind of thing. But communication is huge. That's why we have, L10 meetings, what we call them. I do it at a senior level and then at the middle management level. And then recently you talk about HR. I made the jump and invested in a full-time last year, a full-time HR director. So very fortunate for me because many things have come up during COVID, that you just don't want to make a comment to people about this is how we're going to do things. That's how we're going to do things. Everybody translates things differently. So to have an HR professional director, a senior person that's worked in a 200-person plus organization, dealt with unions as well, even though we're not union, someone that knows how to empathize with that and run that part of the business. I would tell you that it's been very positive influence on the company.
Mark, I think we need to thank you for sharing some really great advice. And what you're saying, I've heard that 80% of a person's success is finding the right mate. In your case, in my case, it's probably close to 100%. And I know she's listening.
Oh no, I don't know where she went, but just for the record, I have no problem admitting it. I had to ask her out 5 times before she'd actually go out with me. And when she met me out the first time, she said, I'll be right back. And she never came back. So I don't know if that was a test, but
So what was the dish of pasta that she made for Nugent when he came?
it's what she doesn't make. I mean, I'm telling you guys, you probably, if you hung out with me, eventually you'd be like, what's Ann doing tonight? That type of thing versus what are you doing tonight? She makes all the pastas. Her sauce is great. She just loves to cook. She's a great mother. She really is. She influenced our children. I am fortunate to have 2 children in medicine and one working with me that actually, Mariah actually has her master's in childhood education. And so maybe she got that to work with me because she's working with a perpetual child that is me. But my wife influenced the 3 children dramatically because I was working a lot. So, but hopefully I can spend time with their kids when they eventually have kids, right? So,
Marc, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for really a lot of great advice. And thank you for making Rochester such a wonderful place to call home. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks, ladies.
Yep.
Hope to see you at the festival.
Oh, yeah. See you next week. And see you this Thursday night for dinner.
Yeah, I have my Vistage group that I have to present at. I'm the host. And then once that's done, I'll come down.
Fantastic. Good.
Okay, great.
And just to let everybody know, thank you for joining us today. We hope you got some really great ideas. I know you did. Same link tomorrow. And remember, if there's anything you can do to help, interval.org, intervol.org. Have a great day. See you tomorrow at noon. Tomorrow we have Kim Jones, who's president and CEO of Butler Till. That will be a great talk. Thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.